Good day, scholars. Today, lesson 35, we're going to learn how to design a game gallery. Um, a gallery is just an assortment of sort of things, and we're going to make a couple of games in this game gallery over the next few weeks here. Um, but first, we have to kind of figure out how we're going to present it to the user, right? So, um, the do now, I had you look at a piece of code there, and kind of to figure out what it did. If you didn't figure out what it did, and you made a guess, that's fine. I'm going to teach you what it means um, as we go along through this video. So if we look at this, so when you start a new project, what's the name of the screen that automatically appears? Is it possible to change this name? What are some properties of this screen? I'll tell you right now, not possible to change the name. Um, I believe the name of it is just screen one, and the properties are just the default properties. And I'll show you that in just a second. Our objective today is to design a splash screen with buttons and two game screens. All right. We're gonna ignore the camera component for now. So splash screens. All right. A splash screen when you're talking about app development it appears as a program's loading. Right. It might have a logo. It might have version information. Some of those real fancy apps, it's a loading app, and it's loading and it has a little animation there. It's kind of cool looking. Um, but the splash screen is really important in App Inventor because it's also the first screen, and it's the first screen is permanent, right? So whatever you do on the first screen of an App Inventor is going to be there. If you have to move it later, it's going to be really difficult, or you'll just have to restart. So you really want to think about the splash screen before you actually jump into designing something. So let's take a look at that. If you go to Classroom, which you're probably already there, and you go to classwork, a lot of you guys like to hang out in the stream for some reason. Go to Classwork. It's a lot easier to find stuff. And you go to MIT App Inventor, open the link, hit Create Apps. All right, and I'm going to start a new project. Let's see if it loaded me in. No, start new project, and I'm going to call it Game Gallery. All right, hit OK, and it'll open up. Here's my blank screen. You'll see screen one. Right, I can't rename that. That is just what it's called. The properties are the default properties. You can, of course, change all these on the right here. But this will be our splash screen. And our splash screen here is going to have two buttons. All right, so I'm going to put button one, button two, boom. All right, I'm going to go to the screen on the right here under components, and I'm going to align everything center. You can design it how you want. I just wanted to make it look like this. I'm going to rename this button, right, under components. You always rename your stuff, right? I'm going to name it Mole Mash Button. All right, that'll make more sense later. And I'm going to rename this one Mini Golf Button, which we'll make next week. We're going to make Mole Mash this week. But we have two buttons here, and each of these buttons I want to take to another screen. Before we move on, I want to make this look a little bit better. This doesn't look good. First, I'm going to change the text here. I'm going to change this one to say Mole Mash. And I'm going to change this text button to say Mini Golf. And I'm going to put WIP for work in progress, just so I know when I'm testing this, I don't accidentally click on that thinking it'll take me to something I'm working on. We're going to be working on Mole Mash, and that'll make more sense later. And I'm going to make a background for this. I'm not going to make a background. I'm just going to find a background. So let's go to let's. Some of you guys kind of forget how to do this kind of stuff. So let's find an image. I go up to here. I go to images. Not image. What am I doing? Let's just find an image. Let's do a nature background. All right, let's go to images. I want to kind of cartoony looking, so I'm gonna put cartoon nature background. All right, and so these are all just some random backgrounds I'll find. I'm gonna take this one. I think I don't want the watermark on there. It has a watermark. You can use any image you want as long as it's appropriate. Just be aware that in the future you cannot use copyrighted pictures that other people own. I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna save image as. So control click, save image as. So I'll read that. Control click, save image as. This will go to I'm just gonna do it on my desktop. I'm gonna call it background game 8. Sure, whatever. Save. All right, now that's downloaded to my desktop. Go back to MIT App Inventor, and I'm going to do background image, upload file. Choose to my desktop here. There it is. Upload. Alright, so there's my background. It's a little squished because I didn't care about the resolution, but that's just a heads up. And I'm going to make this a little bit better too. Let's change the background color to this. I want them to be, let's just do blue for now. I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to make the text color white so it pops a little bit. There we go. Same thing with this one. Blue, bold it. Text color white, of course, like I just said. And I'm going to make the width the same. I'm going to make it a percentage. I'm going to make it 75% of the screen. That's too big. I don't like that. 50% of the screen, I meant to say, of course. 50. Cool. Width, 50. Percentage, 50%. All right. And I have those there. All right. And you can change. You can do this however you want. I'm just kind of doing it how I think it'll look cool. You can always change it later. Let's say I wanted these buttons more in the middle or further down. All right. Here's a quick little trick here. If you go to layout and you get an arrangement, I'm gonna put an arrangement here. All right. When you test this or when the user is using this, they won't see an arrangement that doesn't have anything in it. This will be invisible. So all they'll see are the buttons kind of pushed down a little bit. I want the buttons a little bit higher than that, so I'm gonna make the width of this maybe 10%. Not width. I don't mean to do that. Height 10%. All right, and it brings those up a little bit. And if I wanted those to be further apart, I can do another arrangement there, and then I can make the height, 5%. Oops. 5%. All right, so they're kind of away from each other. And again, the user won't see these, like that 2%. The user won't see these empty arrangements. They'll be invisible. And then this is just used to kind of mess around with the layout and push the buttons down a little bit. So I got my 2 buttons here. All right. We want them to go to another screen, right? So we want MoleMash to be on its own screen. We want the mini golf to be on its own screen. We're going to add some screens here. So we're going to do screen name. We're going to add a new screen. We're going to call this next screen, we're going to call it MoleMash. I'm going to call it MoleMash screen, just so I know it's a screen, just in case. So it's making a new screen now. So here's my MoleMash screen. I can change screens up here. Let's go back to screen 1. Let's add another screen. I'm going to call it mini golf screen. And it's going to open mini golf. So now I have 3 screens. I got screen 1, which is my splash screen, and I can't rename that. I got MoleMash screen, which has nothing on it yet, and I got mini golf screen, which has nothing on it yet. All I want to do right now, all I care about right now before I even start coding anything else, I want to make sure these buttons go to their screens they're supposed to. So I go to blocks. All right. If we go to, let's see, screen buttons. Let's get a button. So when the MoleMash button's clicked, right, what I want to happen is I want it to open a new screen. Let's see if it's over here. Here we go. There. Open a new screen with the screen name of, I'm going to get a text. And what did I call my MoleMash screen? I called it MoleMash screen. Simple as that. MoleMash screen. All right. And same thing with my other one. I'm going to duplicate this by control clicking. And you can duplicate. I'm going to change when MoleMash button click to mini golf button. And I'm going to change this to, I called it mini golf screen. Mini golf screen. And as some of you guys find out, it's really important that you keep the case of the letters you're using the same across everything. If this wasn't capitalized, but this is, it won't work. They need to be the same because it's calling upon that very specific screen that I named with that specific name. All right. So now I would go ahead and test this. All right. I test it, make sure that this button, when I click on it, takes me to my MoleMash screen. And when I click on the mini golf button, it takes me to my mini golf screen. All right. That's as far as we're getting today, or at least with this video. If you finish this video, go ahead and go on to the next one, where we'll talk about making MoleMash. Again, I want to reiterate, you can make this however you want to look. The goal of this is essentially for you to have 2 buttons with each of them going to their own respective screen that you made. All right. And then you also need to remember that the splash screen, your screen 1, cannot be changed, and it should be your main screen if you're having multiple links branch off from that. All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But really, just make sure you have your 2 buttons that go to those 2 separate screens.